ओम भग सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुविरभावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। समस्तदेवताभ्यो ऋषिभ्यो मुनिभ्यो गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रीमद्भागवत महापुराण आचार्येभ्यो नमः। परब्रह्मणे महाविष्णवे ब्रह्मणे सनकादिमुनिभ्यो नारदाय वेदव्यासाय शुकब्रह्मर्षे सूतमहामुने शौनकादृशिभ्यो वैशम्पायनादृभ्यो अत्र्यादृशिभ्यो प्रह्लादादिभक्तजनेभ्यो आदित्यादिनवग्रहदेवताभ्यो वत्सलतारेभ्यो नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिदत्तात्रेय गुरुवादिगुरुभ्यो नमः। आदिपराशक्तिमात्रे नमः। मातापितृदेवताभ्यो नमः। आद्यशङ्कराचार्यवर्यादिगुरुभ्यो नमः। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओं श्री कृष्ण परब्रह्मणे नमः। श्रीमद्भागवत महापुराणमेकादश स्कंदः मुक्तिर्हित्वा अन्यथा रूपं स्वरूपेण व्यवस्थितिः। अथ पारायणम्। ओम द्वादश स्कंदः आभासश्च निरोधश्च यतश्चाध्यवसीयते स आश्रयः परं ब्रह्म परमात्मेति शब्दते। अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः। Revel 10 minutes in trying to bring the mind with full concentration as well as devotion and shraddha to the Parayanam of Bhagavatam Mahapuranam, which we are doing every day to tune ourselves to the Bhagavata Rupa Krishna so that he reveals to us all the knowledge required for our outer life and as well as the inner spiritual unfoldment. We have done 2 chapters of 12th Skandham. Today the 3rd chapter. अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः। श्रीशुक उवाच दृष्ट्वात्मनिजये व्यग्रान् नृपान् हसति भूरियम् अहो मां विजिगीषन्ति मृत्योः क्रीडनकान् नृपाः। काम एष नरेन्द्राणां मोघः स्याद् विदुषामपि येन फेनोपमे पिण्डे एति विश्रम्बिता नृपाः। पूर्वं निर्जित्य षड्वर्गं जेष्यामो राजमन्त्रिणः ततः सचिव पौराप्त करीन्द्रानस्य कण्टकान् एवं क्रमेण जेष्यामः पृथ्वीं सागरमेखलाम् इति आशाबद्धहृदयाः न पश्यन्त्यन्तिकेन्तकं समुद्रावरणां जित्वा मां विशन्त्यब्धिमोजसा यदात्मजयस्यैतः तत् मुक्तिरात्मजये फलं यां विसृज्यैव मनवः तत्सुताश्च कुरुद्वः गता यथा गतं युद्धे तां मां जेष्यन्त्यबुद्धयः मत्कृते पितृपुत्राणां भ्रातॄणां चापि विग्रहः जायते ह्यसतां राज्ये मम ताबद्धचेतसां ममैवेयं मही कृत्स्ना न ते मूढेति वादिनः स्पर्धमानामितो घ्नन्ति म्रियन्ते मत्कृते नृपाः ऋतुः पुरूरवागादिः नहुषो भरतोऽर्जुनः मान्धाता सगरो रामः खट्वाङ्गो धुन्धुहारगुः तृणबिन्दुर्ययातिश्च शर्यातिः शन्तनुर्गयः भगीरथः कुवलयाश्वः ककुत्स्थो नैषधो नृगः हिरण्यकशिपुर्वृत्रः रावणो लोकरावणः नमुचिः शम्बरो भौमः हिरण्याक्षोऽथ तारकः अन्ये च बहवो दैत्याः राजानो ये महेश्वराः सर्वे सर्वविधः शूराः सर्वे कथावशेषाः कालेन यकृतार्थाः कृता विभो कथा इमास्ते कथिता महीयसां विताय लोकेषु यशः परेयुषां विज्ञानवैराग्यविवक्षया विभो वचो विभूतिर्न तु पारमार्थ्यं यस्तुत्तमश्लोकगुणानुवादः सङ्गीयते भीक्ष्णममङ्गलघ्नः तमेव नित्यं शृणुयादभीक्ष्णं कृष्णे अमलां भक्तिमभीप्समानः राजोवाच केनोपायेन भगवन् कलेर्दोषान् कलौ जनाः विधमिष्यन्त्युपचितान् तन्मे ब्रूहि यथा मुने युगानि युगधर्मांश्च मानं प्रलयकल्पयोः कालस्येश्वररूपस्य गतिं विष्णोर्महात्मनः श्रीशुक उवाच कृते प्रवर्तते धर्मः चतुष्पात् तज्जनैरुद्धृतः सत्यं दया तपोदानम् इति पादा विभो नृप सन्तुष्टाः करुणाः मैत्राः शान्ता दान्ताः स्थितिक्षवः आत्मारामाः समदृशः प्रायशः श्रमणा जनाः त्रेतायां धर्मपादानां तुर्यांशो हीयते शनैः अधर्मपादैरनृत हिंसा सन्तोषनिग्रहैः तदा क्रियातपोनिष्ठा नातिहिंस्रानलम्बडाः त्रैवर्गिकास्त्रयीवृद्धाः वर्णा ब्रह्मोत्तरा नृपा तव सत्यदयादानेषु अर्धं ह्रसति द्वापरे हिंसा तुष्टि अनृत द्वेषैः धर्मस्याधर्मलक्षणैः यशस्विनो महाशालाः स्वाध्यायाध्ययने रताः आढ्याकुटुम्बिनो हृष्टाः वर्णाः क्षत्रद्विजोत्तराः कलौ तु धर्महेतूनां तुर्यांशो अधर्महेतुभिः एदमानैः क्षीयमाणः यन्ते सोऽपि विनङ्क्षति तस्मिन् लुब्धा दुराचारा निर्दया शुष्कवैरिणः दुर्भगा भूरिदर्शाश्च शूद्रदाशोत्तराः प्रजाः सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति दृश्यन्ते पुरुषे गुणाः कालसञ्चोदितास्ते वै परिवर्तन्त आत्मने प्रभवन्ति यदा सत्त्वे मनोबुद्धीन्द्रियाणि च तदा कृतयुगं विद्यात् ज्ञाने तपसि यदृचिः यदा धर्मार्थकामेषु भक्तिर्भवति देहिनां तदा त्रेता रजो वृत्तिः इति जानीहि बुद्धिमन् यदा लोभस्त्वसन्तोषः मानो दम्भोऽथ मत्सरः कर्मणां चापि काम्यानां द्वापरं तत् रजस्तमः यदा मायानृतं तन्द्रा निद्रा हिंसा विषादनं शोकमोहो भयं दैन्यं सकलिस्तामसः स्मृतः यस्मात् क्षुद्रदृशो मर्त्याः क्षुद्रभाग्या महाशनाः कामिनो वित्तहीनाश्च स्वैरिण्यश्च स्त्रियो असतेः तस्योत्कृष्टा जनपदाः वेदाः पाषण्डदूषिताः राजानश्च प्रजाभक्षाः शिष्णोदरपराधिजाः अव्रतावटवो शौचाः भिक्षवश्च कुटुम्बिनः तपस्विनो ग्रामवासाः न्यासिनोत्यर्थलोलुपाः ह्रस्वकाया महाहारा भूर्यपत्यागतहर्यः श्रियः कटुकभाषिण्यः चौर्यमायोरुसाहसाः प्रणयिष्यन्ति वै क्षुद्राः किराटाः कूटकारिणः अनापद्य विमंस्यन्ते वार्तां साधु जुगुप्सितां पतिं त्यक्ष्यन्ति निर्द्रव्यं वृत्त्या आप्यखिलोत्तमं कृत्यं विपन्नं पदयः कौलं गाश्च पयस्विनीः पितॄन् भ्रातॄन् सौहृज्ञातेन हित्वा सौहृदाः ननान्द्रु स्यालसंवादाः दीनाः स्त्रैणाः कलौ नराः शूद्राः प्रतिगृहीष्यन्ते तपोवेशोपजीविनः धर्मं वक्ष्यन्त्यधर्मज्ञाः अधिरुह्योत्तमासनं नित्यमुद्विग्नमनसः दुर्भिक्षकरकर्षिताः निरन्ने भूतले राजन् अनावृष्टिभयातुराः वासोन्नपानशेन व्यवाया स्नानभूषणैः हीनाः पिशाचसन्दर्शा भविष्यन्ति कलौ प्रजाः कलौ काकिनिकेऽप्यर्थे विगृह्य त्यक्तसौहृदाः त्यक्ष्यन्ति च प्रियान् प्राणान् हनिष्यन्ति स्वकानमे न रक्षिष्यन्ति मनुजाः सविरौ पितरा ववे पुत्रान् सर्वार्थकुशलान् क्षुद्राः शिष्णोदरम्भराः कलौ न राजन् जगदाम्बरं गुरुं त्रिलोकनाथानतपादपङ्कजं प्रायेण मर्त्या भगवन्तमच्युतं यक्ष्यन्ति पाषण्डविभिन्नचेतसः यन्नामधेयं म्रियमाण आतुरः पतन् स्खलन् वा विवशो गृणन् पुमान् विमुक्तकर्मार्गल उत्तमां गतिम प्राप्नोति यक्ष्यन्ति न तं कलौ जनाः पुंसां कलिकृतान् दोषान् द्रव्यदेशात्मसम्भवान् सर्वान् हरति चित्तस्थः भगवान् पुरुषोत्तमः श्रुतः संकीर्तितोऽध्यातः पूजितश्चादृतोऽपि वा नृणां दुनोति भगवान् हृस्थो जन्मायुधाशुभं यथाहं निश्चितो वह्निः दुर्वर्णं हन्ति धातुजम् एवमात्मगतो विष्णुः योगिनामशुभाशयं विद्या तव प्राणनिरोधमैत्री तीर्थाभिषेकव्रतदानजप्यैः नात्यन्तशुद्धिं लभतेऽन्तरात्मा यदा हृदिस्थे भगवत्यनन्दे तस्मात् सर्वात्मना राजन् हृदिस्थं कुरु केशवं म्रियमाणो ह्यवहितः ततो यासि परां गतिं म्रियमाणैरविध्येयो भगवान् हरिरीश्वरः आत्मभावं नयत्यङ्ग सर्वात्मा सर्वसम्भवः कलेर्दोषनिधे राजन् अस्ति ह्येको महान् गुणः कीर्तनादेव कृष्णस्य मुक्तसङ्गः परं व्रजेतु कृते यध्यायतो विष्णुं त्रेतायां यजतो मखैः द्वापरे परिचर्यायां कलौ तद्धरिकीर्तनात् इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां द्वादशस्कन्धे तृतीयोऽध्यायः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री भागवत शरणं मम, श्री सद्गुरु शरणं मम, श्री सूत शरणं मम, श्री शुकदेव शरणं मम, श्री व्यास शरणं मम, श्री नारद शरणं मम, श्री कुमार शरणं मम, श्री ब्रह्मा शरणं मम, श्री विष्णु शरणं मम, श्री परब्रह्म शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, शरणं मम, शरणं मम। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। ओम मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। सर्गे सत्ये च कैलासे वैकुण्ठे नास्त्ययं रसः अतः पिबन्तु सद्भाग्याः मामामुञ्चत कर्हिचित्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम श्री कृष्ण परब्रह्मणे नमः। श्रीमद्भागवत महापुराणमेकादश स्कन्धः मुक्तिर्हित्वान्यथा रूपं स्वरूपेण व्यवस्थितिः। अथ अष्टाविंशोऽध्यायः। श्री भगवानुवाच। Eyes closed. Remember Parabrahma Tattva. Mahavishnu, Brahmadeva, Sanakadi Muni, Narada, Vyasa Bhagavan, Shukadev Ji, Suta Mahamuni, Shaunaka Rishi, Vaishampayana Rishi. Let us pray to all of them and all the avatars that are mentioned in Bhagavatam and otherwise to bless us with all the strength and stamina required to do this sadhana, even though we are in such a most difficult timings of the Kali Yuga, the Lakshana of which we just now we chanted in that third chapter of 12th Skandha. Having saluted, always remember, yes, certainly it is difficult to manage the outer world of finances, relations, family, children. But there is no way than trying our best to manage them. Certainly it is difficult to manage our health, etc. Sometimes you feel like giving up only everything. But still, again, with faith in the Lord, confidence in oneself, inspiration, we have to do our best. We are here only to go on doing our best. The rest the Lord will give, rest the Lord will take care. So too certainly it is always difficult to keep up inspiration in the mind, to do good, to be active, to be dynamic, to have the higher goal, that too spirituality, work towards it. Yet, there's no way then putting our possible efforts to keep up our mental inspiration, intellectual sharpness, and alertness. Most difficult is to remember the Tattva, the Atma, that too in Kali Yuga, filled with so much of tamas and rajas all around that even if you and I want to become sattvic, the world doesn't allow us to be in that mood for long. And yet, maintaining that, remembering our goal is Paramatma, pursuing the sadhanas of bhakti and jnanam, always equipping these two sadhanas with yoga and karma, बहुत बहुत मुश्किल फिर भी असंभव नहीं है. When we have faith in this noble goal, when we have faith in the Lord and Guru, whom we are relentlessly praying, when we have faith in ourselves that we can do to whatever the extent we can, then any amount of distances or the mountains we can walk or we can climb, any number of oceans we can cross. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langhete girim. Bhagavan makes us even cross the oceans and mountains if we have faith in it. So, the more we try to do sadhana, the more difficulties Bhagavan puts. The more Bhagavan puts the difficulties, the more strongly we have to hold his feet by our increased, intensified bhakti and shraddha. The more bhakti and shraddha we have at the feet of God, we'll be able to do some lower sadhana. Higher we want to do, again the difficulties come. That way, with every difficulty within and without coming, our hold onto the feet of Bhagavan should grow with shraddha and bhakti. In this way only we can keep on getting empowered by Him and walk the spiritual path. The other worldly path is what? Nothing difficult. Kuch by hook or crook, earn some money, indulge in that. While indulging only, unconsciously, subconsciously, die one day. Every animal does, every animal type of human being also does that. In this nasha of the artha and kama, just dying. How many are doing? Everybody is doing. Everybody can do that, but that's not great. The greatness is keeping up our inspirational efforts in trying to do our best in the evolutionary spiritual sadhana. Let us do it. And the regularity, the consistency. These are all very precious, rare. The gifts are rare. We can say the commodities which we can have. And a surprise when we were reading, these Shaunakadi rishis, they kept the yagnam for the 1,000 years. Sahasra samam asata. 1,000 years they were doing the yajna, and 1,000 years they were listening to Purana from Sutta Pauranika every day. तो हमारा तो 1,000 days भी नहीं हुआ. We are only around 830 days. Not 1,000, 10,000 नहीं. उनका तो 1,000 years. 1,000 days भी हमारे नहीं हुए. So that is what, yeah, it's just end of Dwapara, beginning of Kali. They're all of the high calibered people. We, in the passage of time, are the jivas with so many incapacities, etc., filled with all durgunas of Kama, Krodha आदि. फिर भी क्या है, जब तक जीवन है करते रहना, इसी को जीवन मानना, इसी में जीवन को देखना, इसमें जीते जीते ही जीते रहना. अब जाना हो तो इसी में जाना. In the old days, toward the end of life, saying bye to all, they used to go to Kashi. Then that Ganga Snanam, Annapurna Bhiksha, Vishwanatha Charana Upasana, they leave body there only. You and I need not go to Kashi for all. Luckily, the Kashi, the Mathura, the Vrindavanam, the Dwaraka, all of them are coming to our own home through all these satsangas every day. Considering all these only as all the Punya Kshetra. Because in Punya Kshetra we go to see Bhagavan. In all Shastras and Satsang, what is told about is Bhagavan. Very much Bhagavan is there. So feel that. Our life is in this. Like some people go to ashramas, they say our life is here. Different people, different. So our life is in our Shastra Dhanam, trying to grasp Bhagavad Tattva and develop Bhagavad Bhakti and develop whatever the good qualities we were missing so far and which are possible now at this old age. Any of the non-positive things which are ought to be left, we have not left, let us leave them now. Like toward the coming of the elections, all the politicians become active. Is it not to do fulfill all the promises they have done for the praja? You understand all the love from where they bring, we don't know. कि कितने humble, कितने simple, कितने loving बनकर क्या क्या करते हैं, करते करते फिर promises भी करते हैं to get again elected, selected. Let us also do the same thing to be elected, selected by the Lord for placing us in more evolved place after we leave this Deham. But before that, in these 4 5 things, we can involve in all the time. So every time, instead of counting the days, instead of watching anything else, instead of frightened, worried about anything, how much of my bhakti at the feet of Lord is growing. For that, what are the bhakti sadhanas I have done from morning till now? Till before night, what else I can do? Tomorrow, whole day, how will I spend? So, to how much of the Tattva Jignasa I have done through the study of Tattva Shastra, how much of the Jnanam of the Tattva I got, in that how much of conviction came. Among that, am I trying to live even one principle, 2 principles? In this way, let us engross ourselves with our mind, intellect, this type of thinking. All else should not be bothered, worried also much, unless it calls for our attention. This is the wisest way of living. Live vigorously for a few years, maybe 3 or 4, 5, enough. Then you can see the fulfillment. Okay. Now we are in this 20th chapter. Bhagavan is giving us the Viveka Vicharana uh, data or stuff material, food for our thought, doing which we will know the truth, reality, the untruth of the Jagat. And then be identified with that, the truth or reality, get out of the unreal Jagat. Jagat includes my own Deha, my own Panchakosha, my own Jiva Bhava. A part of the total Jagat also is this also. This which I consider as mine are part of the whole Deha, the whole Vishwa only. That is the biggest ignorance. Both ways. Ki I am the support of the entire samsara, yet I identify only with this one upadis. And when and where I have owned this one, it is mine. If you really think, nowhere, never, nothing is in our control. Yet we say, Sab mera hai, mera hai. That is what we were discussing very exhaustively yesterday, day before, in all the classes. Aham as a Brahma is the Reriva of the Vriksha. Instead of becoming like that, what I become? Vanupaditadatmya Baddha Jiva. It's a very strongly embedded Vasana and Avidya and Moha of millions life. स्वामी जी बचपन से चल रही आदत आप ऐसे छोड़ो बोलो तो जस्ट लाइक दैट छूटता है क्या डोंट वी से अबाउट सम हैबिट्स in one life some gross habits of some small little thing we can't give up. How can we give up the habit of being the deha which we are carrying in so many yonis? मनुष्य योनि एटलीस्ट यू हैव ए थॉट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कि मैं देह दृष्टा हूँ देह नहीं हूँ पशु योनि में हो तो देह के रूप में ही जीते हैं लाइक दैट हाउ मेनी योनिज वी वेंट थ्रू टफ yet initiate start pursue as much as possible. Okay, now the 15th mantra straight away. Om Sri Bhagavanu Vacho. Yesterday we studied. Data is given by the Guru. Is Vyasa Bhagavan Shukadevji. Taking that, Krishna Bhagavan. We just ponder over that. catch the truth of it, start little by little practice. है ना? सुनो, समझो, करो, पहुंचो. These are the four things in spirituality. Suno, Shravanam, Samjo, Mananam, Karo, do the Anididhyasanam. Pahuncho is experience it in the Dhyana. In that Karo, anything else outer to be done, Karo usko. Shoga Harsha Bhaya Krodha, Lobha Moha Spruhadayaha, Ahankarasya Drusyante, Janma Mrityushchana Atmanaha. Aha. This itself gives such a beautiful relief if we can start thinking, believing it. What is that? Other than this Jiva, there is an Atma. To that Atma, there is no birth, there is no death. In between birth and death, the cause of samsara, these gunas, called as Shoka, Harsha, Bhaya, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, are not at all there. And fortunately, that Atma is me. And anytime I can give up my Jiva Tadatmya and enter into that Atma Tadatmya. Having reached which there is no Janma, Marana, there is no samsara of Shokarsha, Bhaya, Krodha, Lobha, Moha Ityadi. These are the initial causes of samsara. They all are the notions, emotions, thought modifications in the mind which prompt us to react or act in the world in different manner, which in turn gets us the result of sukha dukkha, to enjoy which we are pushed from one situation to other, one deha to other, one relativity to the other. All of that go away. So contemplate on this point. That Janma and Mrityu is not that for me the self. Imagine if I discover my identity with that innermost Atma Tattva, which is no birth and no death, eternal, all those fears of old age, birth, death, or diseases, they won't even bother us. But we have to establish in that jnana. I am that Satchidananda Atma, which is unborn, unmodifying, undecaying, undeceased, undying. Secretly, silently, what we have to do in the chambers of our Upasana Gadi room or in our Puja room or in our Dhyana Kaksha is this one. Be in your own garden, seated in an easy chair. Have a cup of tea, no problem. But having cup of coffee or tea, what do you do for next 1 hour? I am that self, which is without birth, death, nor shoka, harsha, ityadi. And to whom all of them belong? They belong to Ahankara. Who is Ahankara? Jiva. Who is Jiva? Upadhi Tadatmya. And why Upadhi Tadatmya? Aviveka. Followed by the wrong practice. अविवेक से चीज को नहीं समझा और जो नहीं है उसको माना और उसको प्रैक्टिस करते गए, therefore the upadhi tadatma kept go on doing viveka and withdraw from the identity, from the upadhis, then the jiva bhava, ahankara bhava goes away. Then we can awaken to that self in which the samsara karakas, all these are never there at all. It's very lofty vision, very tough to digest. हमको तो ये शोक हर्ष इत्यादि छोड़ने को ही होता नहीं. We want them. We know that they are the cause of dukkha, yet we don't live with them. That weakness. When will it go away? Just like we were chanting in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavatam or 4th. Only when we keep Achyuta Bhagavan Krishna in our heart right now only and pray to him, hey Bhagavan, protect me. Give me the strength and ability to deeply contemplate on this aspect that I am that self in which all these are not there. Give me strength, help me. May I have the strength to accept this knowledge, do the abhyas of it, and be in that strongest thought of I am that self which is unmodified or undying. That is called as Savikalpa Samadhi. Then that takes us to Nirvikalpa Anubhuti. Really we experience ourselves to be the infinite Sat Swarupa, Chit Swarupa, which is Sarvavyavaka. Then with that Anubhava, you are in the world outside, living eternally as an eternity. What about the Upadhi? Upadhi has its own prarabdha. So what? See that? Aha. Keep thinking on these shlokas. Ahankara se dushyante janma mrityo cha na atmanaha. हो गया? Now comes 16th sloka, which decides or defines who is a jiva. And this also we have to work on the seat of our contemplation till we deeply, thoroughly understand. So, among the three greatest things which as a Adhyatmaka sadhaka we have to do, one thing we are learning to do. That is being consistent in listening. Shravan tak aa gaya. Same data, when we do the mananam again and again, then the knowledge becomes substantial. Make that habit. Every day contemplating. Then the third thing of what we digested about ourself. To remain only as that self on the nididhyasana or dhyana avastha, we put the effort to reject what is not self and try to identify with what is a self, which we are convinced after the Mananam Chintanam. For that Mananam Chintanam, the data came to us when we did regular Shravanam of the Upanishad or such Bhagavatadi Grantha from the Mukha of the Guru Parampara. Here Bhagavan Krishna who is a Jagat Guru, Bhagavan an Avatara, Bhagavan is Vishnu Narayana, Parabrahma, all four in one is teaching us. So Shravanam, effective. And remember, 1,000 shlokas are there. Contemplate on all of them. 1,000 thoughts become perfect in our understanding. You can't do 1,000, I can do 5. Do 5. 5 श्लोक पढ़ो, एक श्लोक का मनन चिंतन करो, उतना उसका कन्विक्शन होएगा, वो वाला उस जगह में हमें बचाएगा. Like one talent I learnt, that gives me opportunity of some profession. My livelihood will be done. In the same one, you have more expertise and more talents. If I have more opportunities for me to work and get more money, outer world. In the same way, out of so much of the thing which we hear, at least few of the things when we deeply do mananam chintanam, the jnana becomes druda. When the jnana becomes druda, and we try to involve in the jnanam through nididhyasanam for anubhuti, new samsara we don't create. Existing samsara we go through, but it won't bother us much because we are not giving it undue importance. And that nididhyasana prayatnam which we are doing slowly makes it a habit. देखो लाइफ कितना बढ़िया. There's no ambiguity, absolutely clear. We have to have this clarity and pursue that. So which shloka to do manana means every of the shloka. उसमें से आपको जो अच्छा लगा ले लो. See, यावदेहिन्द्र प्राणय आत्मन सन्निकर्षणम संसार फलवान तावद अपार्थोपि अविवेगिनः. Was it not sufficient for contemplation? It has removed lot of cobwebs or notions or misunderstandings or fears. It gave a fresh new vision about the life. So to the latest shloka. Shoka harsha bhaya krodha lobha moha spruhadaya ahankara sadushyante janma mrityu chapi and na atmanaha, not of the self. Now jiva defined. We have to work on this on the seat of meditation to clearly understand. Chant karo. Dehendriya prana manobhimanah जीवोऽन्तरात्मा गुणकर्ममूर्तिः सूत्रं महानित्युरुधेव गीतः संसार आधावति कालतन्त्रः. Very nice, simple, not at all complicated, and we will also not make it complicated. Deha Indriya Prana Mana Abhimana is Jiva. The one who has the Abhimana with the Indriya Prana Mana, Indriya is all the upadhis, all the Antakaranas, all are 10 of the Indriyas. Abhimana is Aham Mama Mahyam Bhavana, very strong. नहीं जाता वो, है ना. ये जो वाली चीज ना, ममता वाली, ये ऐसी छूटती नहीं है, जब आ जाती है जिंदगी में. रिमेंबर इन वेदांता ममता इज ऑफ बोथ टाइप्स, पॉजिटिव एंड नेगेटिव. द पॉजिटिव ममता इज कॉल्ड राग, द नेगेटिव ममता इज कॉल्ड द्वेष. दोनों को ममता ही कहते हैं. एक बार आते हैं ना, जिंदगी भर हम वो जाते ही नहीं हो, उसके बिना हम जी ही नहीं सकते ऐसा लगता. With the things and beings, then what to talk about this deha, is it not? So, but as we said, keep doing, start, take an initiative and don't stop. दो चीजें जिंदगी में सीखो, शुरू करो, रोको मत, रुको मत, पहुंच जाएंगे. शुरू करो, रोको मत, पहुंच जाएंगे. हम सब शास्त्र ऐसे पढ़ रहे, शुरू किया, रुक नहीं रहे, धीरे धीरे वी आर coming to the conclusion of the study of one by one Shastra. So what is the point? Jiva is what? Dehendriya Prana Mana Abhimana is Jiva. And this thought is 100 times to be deeply contemplated and understood by taking hundreds of examples of Vyavahara. Where is doctor in the man? In his own absence is there. Man with that professional knowledge of medicine and identification with that is doctor. Is it not? In Vyavahara, he may be called by the entire world as doctor, but there is no doctor in him actually. A man alone is there. But through the upadhi, he is become a doctor. Is it not? Where is lawyer? Everywhere you ask this question, then you start understanding what is the meaning of jiva. Not there, yet there. Superimposed on the reality because of the identification with the upadhis. Very sublime it is. I tell you one very serious thing, sincere thing, dangerous thing, difficult to catch wala thing. But still I share. Ki, when Jiva is born onto this earth from the womb of mother, he is no abhiman of anything. Not even with the deha, not with the family members, not with the language to which he belongs, as others say, not to the caste or creed or clan or religion, nationality, even etc., gender, etc. Like Shukadeva. When he was born, he is already Aham Brahmasmi. No other Tadatma to him. No Abhimana. But then the people who think that he is their child, grandchild, member came to do the Vamshodharak. स्वामी जी आ गए मेरे घर में वंशोद्धारक. कौन सा वंश? वो जो मैंने सत्यानाश किया. जिसको उद्धार करने के. And then first you give a name to that fellow, Namakaranam. So that name came to him. Then we tell him, you are his brother, he is your brother, his sister, your sister, your mother, his father. All these are trained to that fellow. उसको लगता है यार ऐसा कहने से खाना देंगे करके, he goes on accepting. Like कुत्ते को ना, दुम हिलाओ या पाओ, डांस करो, then you give it a biscuit. Circus maybe. They are made to do all feats, then they give food. Same this way the child. Even the tota also, it is put in the pinjara, given the fruit and it is trained to take out that card which tells the future. And the tota doesn't go out, it goes inside only, as if it is its duty to stay inside because got habituated. Even the sarkara also, circus may, after presenting it in that ground, they all go into their respective cages only. In the same way, the child, as he is growing, growing with every abhimana, which will so substantially make him a jiva and not the atma. Then he is taught the respective language, then he belongs to that language. He is told you are of this religion, then he starts believing it. He says you are born in India, so you are Bharatiya, you are Indian, not the other. Is this one, see? Then we put him schools, colleges and different subjects we teach and अब देखते जाओ हो रहा कितने सारे अभिमान जिंदगी भर हमको दिया जा रहा है. And in which school or college we are taught right from beginning, beta you are the atma, you have to realize that for that only you are given human janma. Now this is the jnanam, this is sadhana for it. While doing so, to survive, so these are the professional skills, these are the values, this is what you have to protect your upadhi, and your goal is none of them. Goal is to know the self. कहाँ बता रहे, कौन बता रहे? Even the so-called Maha lecture baz. अभी तो बताया in the third chapter which we chanted, we saw those people accept the truth, everything they speak on the stage, and they are claimed as great speakers and Mahatmas. तत्व और सत्य ही नहीं बोल रहे हो तो फिर क्या बोल रहे हो? जब तत्व या सत्य नहीं बोला तो अतत्व ही बोला, मिथ्या ही बोला, असत्य ही बोला ना. Are you speaking the self or no? Then you are speaking not self. Tapon Maharaj was like that. He speaks, if he speaks, only the self. If people are not ready to listen self or tattva, he will not speak. देखो, I'm just telling an idea how देहेंद्रिय मन प्राण से हमारा अभिमान बनाया जाता है. And once that habit of becoming abhimana yukta with them is generated by us, we find comfort in it. Throughout life, we conduct like that. Not knowing these few problems, that with these upadhis, to propitiate them, you have to be a slave to the world, with which you have lost sight of your goal for which you came. So to the upadhis, being maya mithya kruta, they leave us one day. That time the dukkha is dekho. A person who has got very good memory of listening, remembering everything, एक उम्र का आज भूलने लगता है. ही सो मिजरेबल यार, आजकल मेरे को याद नहीं आ रहा. Luckily, I am saved from this problem. Huh? I used to remember thousands of shlokas, 10,000, 12,000. Now कुछ याद नहीं है, but I am not worried. भगवान की कृपा हो गई. All forgotten. The whole Gita, the entire, so many of the other Shastra, Vivek, sorry, I used to remember. No memory fading. It will fade. Why should it? It's upadhi. But if I mind for the upadhi, then I'll suffer more. Every upadhi, the deha, can't be young all the time. When it become old, diseased, indriyas, they will lose their patutva. Please remember, after we grow, whoever he is, maybe a Mahatma, he may be Mahayogi. He is like Yogi, Maha great, Baba Ramadev Adi. They teach all, but when they become old, उनके भी देहा अपने धर्म के अनुसार ही होता है. He may live double than us age, but he will also become old. But धर्म है देह का, जिसने तादात्म्य किया फिर सफर होगा कि नहीं. So these are the upadhi. Then the other upadhi of different identities with the people around us. Which is permanent, bolo? Now, dekho, I became Abhimana Yukta Jiva with so many upadhis, hundreds of them. Of each of them, not even one is permanent. Not a one is same all the time. Then imagine when each of them are cheating me, knowingly or unknowingly or enable, you can't avoid it. With each of them, मैं दुखी हो जाता हूँ. It's just like, I don't know whether the example is right or not. I'm at home all alone. कोई आया नहीं, कोई गया नहीं. There's no tension. But imagine I love 100 people, 100 of them came. With 100 I enjoyed. No, one going, one going. Don't you feel that dukkha? Then the last 10 are remaining. अरे 90 चले गए, 10 ही रहे यार दुख. अब उनमें से 8 चले गए, 2 ही रह गए. अब वो कह रहे हैं हमको जाना है. Oh, you also leave me and go. See, dukkha is not because they are going, and you can't avoid them going. How much will you become dukkhi? Dukkha is not because they are going. Dukkha is there because they came. Those who can discover there is a dukkha in the coming and avoid that, there will be no more dukkhi when it is going. Very subtle thought. We just shared. If you can catch it. Don't. Therefore, that is called detachment. That's the meaning of living life like a lotus petal or the leaf, not allowing the water to touch. कोई भी किसी भी तरह का उपाधि को ले लोगे तो रिमेंबर दुखी हो गए. Now, how much courage we have to accept this thought. Before that, how much subtle we have to be to understand this thought. That every upadhi makes me jiva abhimani at that level only to finally give me the dukkha. In between और शुरू में it appears like थोड़ा वो सुख देगा, but बाद में पक्का दुख देगा ही वो. Not knowing this, every day, instead of coming out of the abhimana or jiva bhava, by relinquishing or detaching from the upadhi, we are going on adding newer and newer ones. We are tying down ourselves, we are binding ourselves only. But who can do all that? Oh, the one who has, for some years at least, heard Vedanta, in which Atma Tattva, Brahma Tattva is told, two ways. One, it's its own pristine glory to be Sachidananda Swarupa. Other thing is what? It is not touched by any upadhis. Therefore, the upadhi may hone wala, all limitation shortcut. This doesn't belong to it. In this way, when the Atma Vastu is heard for some years, such people alone can catch this point and don't allow themselves to suffer by becoming Jiva through identifying with the Dehendriyadi Upadhi. And with those Dehendriyadi, the all other Upadhis. ये ज्ञान दृढ़ नहीं है तो we will never try to come out of this samsara or dukkha. On the other hand, in that only we try to search out alternatives. How crucial is this thought? So jiva is explained. Dehendriya prana mana abhimanaha jivaha. But this jiva, when he is not in that abhimana of all of them, what is he? Antaratma. He is actually Antaratma. Now catch this only. He has to be there everywhere, the Atma, because it's Sachidananda. After the inevitability of being there, he has two options. One is what? Be there as a Sakshi witness to the Upadhi, or in delusion and in Moha, because of any of the wrong notion or emotion, get identified with the Upadhi. देखो आदत उपाधि तादात्म्य का है तो बंदा उपाधियों में जाकर 1 मिनट में फंस जाता है. उपाधि के तादात्म्य नहीं होने का आदत है, he may stay there for 1000 years, yet he will not be bound. That possibility is there. Remember, I as a self am behind all the upadhis, because without me upadhis cannot be. But I can be detached with the upadhi, remaining in Sakshi Bhava, or identify the upadhi and become Jiva. This possibility को हमें समझकर जो गलत वाला हम चुन रहे हैं उसको धीरे धीरे घटाकर पॉजिटिव वाला पॉसिबिलिटी को we have to select. The negative possibility is identifying, the positive possibility is detaching by being a Sakshi. Then one idea is what? All these identifications, continuing to identify, having identified all the whims, fancies of nothing but the thoughts, emotions, all of them are nowhere but in the one thing called as mind. If this one fellow called mind is fully minded, everything is taken care. Again, I am telling one more subtle thought. It was discussed. Without mind, I, the self, also cannot do vyavahara of this world. Mind, along with doing vyavahara, inherently has a capacity of imagination projection. That inherent capacity of imagination projection of the mind, when one allows to overpower, he has become samsara. Without that, he is just using mind for function. Then he is no more a samsara. Think about it. These are the intricate things. When we deeply ponder over, then we get to into the root of problem. Then from there we can approach the problem. Not otherwise. देहेंद्र प्राण मन का मैं हमेशा साक्षी हूं, लेकिन अभिमान करते ही मैं ही जीव बन गया. Man with stethoscope, white coat and all has become doctor. He came home, removed all of that. He is just the husband or the father. Think about it. Again and again think. देहेंद्रिय प्राण मनोभिमान है जीव, बट अदरवाइज अंतरात्मा. एक बार ना इतना, you have to strongly think for 1 year or 1 month. He remain as the deha tadatmya abhimana yukta jiva, or by being a sakshi of that enter to the real self of antaratma. मैं क्या करूं इन दोनों में, क्या करूं क्या करूं. Keep away all your other shastra study. Keep away all your japa tapa upasana. करेंगे बाद में वो सब, बट पहले तय हो जाए ना एक इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, क्रूशियल पॉइंट. लाइक ना पहले डिसाइड करो कि शादी करे या ना करे, उसके बाद फिर जो होगा देखा जाएगा. अभी नहीं करने का डिसीजन है, अदर कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस. करने का है तो देन यू कैन कंटिन्यू द फर्दर थिंकिंग आफ्टर दैट. या करना है, देन विच गर्ल और बॉय, यू नो, यू देन थिंक, नो, पहले निश्चय कि उपाधि युक्त जीव आई शुड बी, उपाधि अभिमान युक्त और उपाधि अभिमान रहित अंतरात्मा. मैं क्या बनूं, मैं क्या करूं, मैं क्या हो जाऊं, पहले दिमाग लगा के विद वेरी हीटेड इंटेलेक्ट आई थिंक वी हैव टू कॉन्टेम्पलेट ऑन इट. देन द प्रोस एंड कॉन्स क्या है दोनों में, थिंक अबाउट इट. ऑलरेडी इट इज मेंशन्ड as a jiva through identity with upadhi, you will only suffer the birth and death samsara. As atma you are mukta, but that is in the book, that is in the mouth of the guru. It is only an advice given, but it has to become meaningful to me, understandable to me, acceptable by me, convinced to me. Then I can decide what sadhana to do. देखो आज से यही तड़प, सुबह दोपहर शाम एक ही सोच, उपाधियुक्त जीवा निरुपाधिक आत्मा. व्हाट शुड आई बी, व्हाट शुड, उपाधियुक्त जीवा निरुपाधिक आत्मा, उपाधियुक्त जीवा निरुपाधिक आत्मा. इट्स a very tough exercise which is of doesn't belong to this world. In the sense the world of संसार लोग हंसेंगे ऐसे बोलने से भी, ऐसा भी होता है क्या, they never studied शास्त्र, but we are living studying from 2-3 years. जो शास्त्र झूठ थोड़ी है जो हम 2 साल से पढ़ रहे हैं। क्या हमारा पढ़ाई भी कोई झूठ है बिना कोई मतलब का? ऐसे पास टाइम पास थोड़ी कर रहे थे हम। नो, इट हैज़ मेड अस टू थिंक at least about the possibility of these two, निरुपाधिक आत्मा सोपाधिक जीव। नाउ डिसाइड कि क्या करना है, सोच लो। श्रेयश्च प्रेयश्च मनुष्य में था लाइक दैट कि उपाधियुक्त जीव निरुपाधिक आत्मा क्या। If the decision is to be like a jiva as with upadhi, samsara will never end for even millions of lives, याद रख लेना। But the moment we decide, no, I have to discover my Nirupadhika Atma, how much ever vague it may be, how much ever frightening it may be. Atma is never frightening, but our pursuit is frightening because it is unknown zone and we are familiar with these substantial things. है कि नहीं? उसका हम वाकिफ नहीं है इसलिए डाउट लगता है, इसको तो हर दिन देख रहे हैं। And yet, because on the strength of the faith on Gurus, Shastras, if that thing is not there and if it is not so glorious, why it is glorified by the Guru and Shastra relentlessly? Ham vrukshasya reriva, kirti pushtangireriva, urdhva vajaniva, swamrudamasmi, dravinakam savarchasam, sumeda amrutokshita iti, ahamannam, 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 ahamannadoham, हग्गश्लोककृतहग्गश्लोककृत अहमस्मि प्रथमजारुतास्य पूर्वं देवेभ्यो अमृतस्य नाभायि यो मा ददाति स देव माहा अहमन्नमन्नमदन्तमात्मी अहं विश्वभुवनमपि भवां सुवर्णज्योतिः एवं वेद इत्युपनिषत्। How, what a proclamation it is! If that is not there, Atma Anubhava and the glory of the Atma Anubhava than anything else is not there, it would have not been glorified in the Shastras. ऐसे बार बार सोचने से ना we may slowly tend to opt to be the nirupadhika atma antaratma rather than sopadhika jiva. दोनों साथ में होते हैं। उपाधि का गार पहन लिया, यू आर सफरिंग जीव। उपाधि छोड़ दी, यू आर फ्री आत्मा। देखो, I'm just telling thought. Once we choose, then from so many lives we were in उपाधि, थोड़ा थोड़ा उसको छोड़ना पड़ता है। Is it not? एकदम सडनली नहीं होता है। When you are living in a house for so many years, इतना सामान इकट्ठा किया है, तो यूजलेस जो है फेंकना है, कुछ दान देना है, कुछ बेचना है, कोई बहुत जरूरत तो ले जाना है। So many things you have to do in shifting the house. So too in shifting our identity to the Atma Param Jiva, so much of clearances we have to do. That is called as sadhana. साधना ना उसका होता है जिसने साध्य को तय कर लिया। वी आर टॉकिंग फ्रॉम लास्ट 10 minutes अबाउट तय कर लिया कि नहीं आपने। तय का 2 शब्द है हिंदी में। तय करना इज डिसीजन ऑल्सो, तय करना मतलब पहुंचना भी है। उसने अपनी दूरी को तय कर दिया। पहले डिसीजन। So Dehendriya Prana Manoviman Jivaha. But in reality, who is he? Antaratma. Clear? Antaratma. Develop the Vishnu Sakshi Bhava, witness Bhava. And for that only, all these things of forgiving others, not desiring anything, not demanding anything, don't have authority on anything, anything, quality, abilities you have, use them only to serve, don't claim them, don't try to become special in this world. ये सारे हजारों चीजें क्यों बताए जाते हैं? ओनली टू बिकम निरुपाधिक आत्मा। ये सब नहीं किया तो वी विल नेवर बी डेवलपिंग द दृष्टा भाव। विदाउट बीइंग दृष्टा वी कैन नेवर बी साक्षी। विदाउट बीइंग साक्षी we can never detach from the world to identify or attend to that Chaitanya Atma in us. Without that, I will not get identity with that Chaitanya Atma. And without being discovering our end with Sachidananda Atma, we will suffer only as Jiva. Remember, when we identify Sachidananda Atma, उपाधि नहीं रहेंगे ऐसी बात नहीं है, उनका तादाद में नहीं रहेगा। It's like you sold your house and you are staying in that only as tenant. Possible? You have only one worry of paying rent. No other worry. You are not the owner. Earlier, only one joy that it is my house. Every tension was ours. होता ना या उपाधि में रहेंगे बट वी नो दे आर ऑल उपाधि आई एम नॉट आइडेंटिफाइंग विद देम जन्म जन्म का संसार पीछे से जो आ रहा है आगे भी हजारों जन्मों तक चलने वाला संसार छूट जाएगा विधि ज्ञानम एंड इवन इफ आई हैव गॉन थ्रू द samsara for million lives denying spirituality in this life after those million lives also if I get a thought of becoming mukta that time also what is taught to us is the same thing what is taught now. There's no other alternative option except we postpone our mukti and continue our bandhanam. And let us say, Swami, right now I don't want Atma Tadatmya, I want just Jiva Bhava with Upadhi Tadatmya, 20,000 lives or 20. After that also same situation. But mind you, in these 20 lives, whatever we lived, those lives create so many of the added vasana samskara, that time it becomes more difficult. It's like anything. The yoga asanas, when you have not done in the childhood or youth age, do you think you can do them middle age and old age? The sports which you have not played at the young age, do you think at the old age you can play? Bolo, the variety of Bharatanatyam, Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, you have not learned in the young age. Do you think you can learn old? Why? Because in those areas, the body has become more stiff, more tough, more worn out, not as fresh as it was. इसलिए once you cross the age of 45, 46, very intelligently the doctors say daily walking करो 50 के बाद. What is the intelligence they're saying them? They're saying is do only walking, don't take risk of other yoga exercise. पता नहीं क्या होता. And nowadays you see in TV and in film, out of over exercise, how many people are dying? सडनली आप शुरू करो एक्सरसाइज 50-55 में मारी जाएंगे शुरू से करते आए तो धीरे धीरे कंटिन्यू करो लॉन्ग लाइफ द सेफेस्ट एक्सरसाइज ओनली वॉकिंग बिकॉज अदर थिंग्स यू कांट suddenly you do Shirshasana starting at the age of 55 then Shavasana only you can't do all that in the same way 10-20 years lives more we add the vasanas and all we are more worn out as a jiva more strong bandhana developed with the upadhi और मुश्किल होता है इसलिए अभी 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 नहीं तो कभी नहीं यहाँ नहीं तो कहीं नहीं मैं नहीं तो कौन नहीं here and now lest never and nowhere and it is me and nobody else can take decision do for me but whatever the remaining life I have, with firm decision that I want to be identifying with the Nirupadik Atma, whatever little sadhana I do, that helps me in the next life. नहीं किया तो उल्टा हो जाएगा. How much ever we do other satkarma, punya karma, करते रहना. All shastras are telling. But the more we do aham nirupadika atma abhyasa, the more better it is. इसमें कोई खर्चा नहीं होता और झूठ नहीं और वही मुक्ति देने वाला है एंड दैट वर द फाइनल उपदेशम भगवान इज गिविंग सुखदेव आल्सो विल टेल टू परीक्षित ये परीक्षित और कुछ नहीं बचाएगा तुमको ओनली भगवान का नाम लेना ही ये सेड जस्ट नाउ स्पेशली इन कलयुग का दुर्गुण सारे बताते हैं ओनली वन ऑप्शन इन कलयुग टू कम आउट ऑफ ऑल द प्रॉब्लम इज ऑल द टाइम केशव कीर्तन तो केशव कीर्तन और आत्मचिंतन बोथ आर सेम So Dehendriya Prana Manovimana Jivaha Antaratma. Then Guna Karma Murti. Who is Jivaha? Who has got Paramatma as Antaratma. He is a Abhimani of all the Upadis. And the Jiva's another definition is, another explanation about him is Guna Karma Murti. So how many definitions are given to Jiva so far? Explanations 3. One is he is the Abhimani of Dehendriya Pranadi Upadi. Second is, he is the one who has got Antaratma as the support. Paramatma is Antaratma behind. Second. Third is what? Is Guna Karma Murti. He is the embodiment of identifying with the three gunas of Prakriti, forced to do those karmas. Propelled by the गुण. देखो गुणों में है तो गुणों का कर्म करना ही पड़ता है. You know, till you resign, you have to work when you are in the office. Whichever the office, whatever the post. तो सत्वगुण सात्विक कर्म श्रवण मनन, रजोगुण राजसिक कर्म काम क्रोधादि, तमोगुण तामसिक कर्म निद्रा and fighting with each other, cranky, frustrated. See, guna karma murti is again one more explanation about the jiva to be pondered over to have a clarity. We are all guna karma murti, not able to come out of the pressure of these three gunas. We were not able to come out of the karma. Here the karma means the three avasthas make of the three gunas. We are not able to enter into the gunatita turiya avastha. क्योंकि हम ये मूर्ति बन गए, हम मूर्ति. तो ये स्टोन को आपने कोई गणपति का मूर्ति बना दी, हो गया वो गणपति. यू कैन चेंज इट टू सुब्रमण्य भगवान और हनुमान जी. तो नाउ टुडे आई सॉ सो मेनी मूर्तिज ना. कोई हनुमान जी को गणपति को हनुमान जी के रूप में लगाया, कोई शिव जी के रूप में, कोई शिव पार्वती के, क्या क्या लोग कर रहे हैं. बट आई तो अंडरस्टूड एवरीथिंग वन ब्रह्म तत्व ओनली. फाइनली आई कंसोल्ड माई सेल्फ. कोई ना रावण, रावण के ऊपर कैलाश पर्वत, ऑन कैलाश पर्वत भगवान गणपति. एवरीबडी इज पुटिंग ईच वन. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो एक स्टोन को गणपति बनाया तो यू कांट मेक इट अदर. सो टू आई एम बिकम गुणमूर्ति. व्हाट इज आत्मा? गुणातीत, निर्गुण. गुणमूर्ति हो गया मैं. विदाउट गुण आई कांट रिमेन. In that notion I am there. More before that there is a स्थिति called गुणातीत था. इसका ख्याल ही नहीं हमको. Nowhere we are told about it. You know, it is just like talking about the Gayatri mantra or doing the upasana of the rivers, etc., taking them as devata. These things when you tell to foreigners, they'll be surprised only. God, Ganges, God is H2O, they say. How can is that? उनको फॉरेन होगा वो. Mountain, star, Vyasa, what you will say like. In the same way, in today's Hindus only Indians. We all Hindus who are studying all Shastra, other Shastras, Atma Tattva को छोड़कर spirituality का कोई ना कोई साधना कर रहे हैं. For all of us, we are never empowered that we are Gunatita Atma, not Gunamurti. Because of three guna, three karma. So, Sataguna, Jagradavastha, all Jagradavastha karmas. What is the Sataguna of the Jagradavastha? There is intelligence. It is crooked or cruel or useless, whatever, but there is intelligence. You do with awareness. That's called Jagradavastha. चोरी डकैती घोटाला भी हो सकता है, सेवा भी. That is secondary. Intelligence is there, is called Jagradavastha. You misuse it or abuse it or use it for high purpose, that is later on, depending on each one's vasana. So sattva guna, jagradavastha, intelligent action, good or bad. Rajoguna, sapnavastha, the projected dream world, and those karmas in the sapna. And in tamoguna, nidravastha, no karma is the karma there. So, Jagra Sapna Purusha, Purusha, I am, because of three gunas, living in these three avasthas. Put together is called Jiva. Whereas, what is said in Mandukya, the every Upanishad, I am the fourth one. Turiya Atma. Soyam Atma Chatushpatu. Chaturtha Atma I am. Ayam Atma Brahma, Soyam Atma Chatushpat. Then in that Chatushpat, the three pathas are these three avastha. Fourth is Turiya Atma. So put the picture. Jiva and Atma. Jiva, Dehendriya Prana Abhimani. Atma, Dehendriya Prana Sakshi. Jiva is Bahya imaginary projected. Paramatma is the Antaratma. Third, Jiva is Gunamurti. Paramatma is Gunatita. Because of the Guna, Jiva is Karma Murti. Paramatma is Karmatita. Because of karma, he is subjected to the karma phala of sukha dukkha. Paramatma is nishkarma, therefore no samsara of sukha dukkha to him. So far, these are the things discussed. Simultaneously, I am doing all the three. Differentiation between Paramatma and Jivatma. Same time, what is sadhana to be done? At the same time, how the Jiva is defined. जीव का डेफिनेशन भी करना साधना क्या है परमात्मा में जीव में डिफरेंस क्या है ऑल द थ्री वी आर ट्राइंग टू स्टडी इन दिस श्लोक एंड वी हैव टू बिकम वेरी थरो इन दैट not to inform others, not to give lecture baji like me. You don't become lecturer like me because you don't know what is my suffering to give satsang. Realize the self first. अपने अंदर. So think about it. More and more thinking, contemplation, the conviction comes. Then slowly come out of tamas by invoking rajas. Come out of rajas by invoking sattva. Use sattva only in transcending all the upadhi and getting identified with the tattva. Tamas se rajas, rajas se sattva, sattva se tattva. निद्रा से स्वप्न, स्वप्न से जागृत, जागृत से समाधि और तुर्य. Gunamurti to Nirgunatma, Karmamurti to Nirguna, Nishkarma Paramatma, Sukadukka Jiva Murti to Ananda Murti, Ananda Atma. This is our journey. Now ponder all on them again and again that knowledge remains with us. Now with these 2 years of exercise, two things must be very clear to us. One is our Shastras talking about such a substantial truth knowledge, giving us mukti. Second is, unless we do mananam of them, that knowledge will not stay in us to inspire, influence us to become sadhak. Therefore, in the next stage of ours now, जो भी सुन रहे हैं उसमें थोड़ा तो हम समझना शुरू करना है through mananam. That should be our next promotion. Self-giving promotion. Promote yourself. Like I have to promote to myself. I am speaking to all how much I have understood, I have become thorough. Each one of you also. मननम में आना चाहिए तभी ज्ञान स्थिर रहेगा देन द साधना थर्ड लेवल में निधिध्यासनम देन कम्स क्या है सेम गुणकर्म मूर्ति देहेंद्र प्राणाभिमान जीव एट द टोटल लेवल ही इज कॉल्ड एज सूत्रम एंड दिस आल्सो टुडे स्पेशली विल टॉक नॉट मच 2 minutes कि see the world is expressed in two forms by the Lord. One is macro, second is micro. Yeah. And whatever is macro, is there in macro, alone is in micro in a micro form. Whatever is in micro, alone is in the macro. That is why if you can understand, resolve the micro, macro you can understand. That's what all scientists are trying to go into the finer most of the micro, only to know the macro. The spiritual rishis have done the research of the micro inside. They came into the discovered as Atma, and then they understood the macro also is Atma. That's the Mukta Sthiti. That is the Tattvamasi Mahavakya Upadesh में समष्टि व्यष्टि के पीछे रहने वाला एक ही आत्मा. But before that, at the व्यवहार level, समष्टि and व्यष्टि, whatever is there समष्टि में वही व्यष्टि में है. इतना फर्क है कि द समष्टि तादात्मा इज कॉल्ड एज हिरण्यगर्भ ईश्वर इन हिम द समष्टि इज इन हिज कंट्रोल व्यष्टि cannot be and should not be in control. Is it not? Like the whole traffic can be in the control of traffic department. When he is doing control, any of the people who are in the traffic, they cannot control the entire traffic. because they are part of the total. If they are given judge with their selfish biasness, they change the rules. Thoda subtle point. I know all of you are confused in listening this. Very sublime thought. मैं व्यष्टि समष्टि के ही एक हिस्सा होने के कारण मुझे समष्टि के इंटरेस्ट में समष्टि जो कहती है वही करने से मेरा व्यष्टि का भी जो चाहिए वो होता है. I cannot have the freedom of detaching from the samashti and doing as a vyashti whatever I want, in which there is a trouble both to the vyashti and samashti. This I am explaining the difference between the Hiranyagarbha or Sutratma, identified total upadhi, he controls all that, he is not a samsari. But not mukta also if he doesn't know the self. Vyashti is me, all my upadhis. I cannot control them or use or misuse them. I have to tune to them to the total only. Every coach of the train is connected to each of the coach and to the engine also. You can't detach it. The 25 bogies are there, coaches. No, directly देखा जाए तो bogie number 2 behind the engine, 25th. They appear to be disconnected. No, no, no. They are not disconnected. They are interconnected. They are all depending on the engine's capacity, requirement, अलग अलग criteria से connected है वो. So in other words, what? Jiva is the one who cannot have the control on these upadhis. Ishvara is the one who has got control of upadhi. Other than this, he is also individual, this also individual. There's a total individual, it is individual individual. Samashti upadhi tadatma hiranyagarbha hai, vyashti upadhi tadatma you and me and the jiva are there. So that jiva was explained now, Dehendriya Pranamana Vimanaha, as well as Gunakarma Murti at our individual level, is called as Sutratma at the total level. He is not bound, we are bound. That is the only difference. Sutram Mahaniti Urudha Iva Gitaha. This is what is differently spoken in different Shastras. And he alone is the one Samsare Adhavati. He is the one who is running in the samsara from here to there. Now, by saying samsare adhavati, after talking even about the Hiranyagarbha, so then you can understand Hiranyagarbha may be much greater than us, but he is also, if he is not identified with the Atma Tattva, he also has to run in the samsara. What is the difference between the worker and the owner of a company? Owner is the owner and ruler and decision maker on the entire company. Worker cannot do. He only has to be subordinate to follow. But remember, owner with all this also is a bondage, no? That he'll have to make the rules, impose the rules, see that they are followed. वो भी एक झंझट ही है. इसलिए व्यष्टि से समष्टि में जाने से व्यष्टि का प्रॉब्लम जाएगा, लेकिन समस्या पूरा हल नहीं होगा. हाउ द समस्या हल जाएगा? इवन समष्टि उपाधि को छोड़कर निरुपाधि का ब्रह्मा वी हैव टू डिस्कवर. So by saying that, he at individual level, the jiva, who is called jiva because of gunakarma murtitva, who is called the jiva because of dehendra prana abhimana, he is said to be sutratma at the total level. After saying so, they are the ones do the adhavanam in the samsara, run hither and thither in the samsara chakra, kala tantra, forced by the kala chakra. Why that? What your Krishna is indicating is it's good to increase your capacity of upadhi, but not the best or ultimate. The ultimate is what? Direct Paramatma Jnana. Without Atma Jnanam, how much ever we increase the capacities of our upadhis, मन का कैपेसिटी बढ़ाया, बुद्धि का बढ़ाया, you get all the yoga siddhis by doing variety of yoga upasanas. Still you are not ब्रह्मज्ञानी, then बद्ध only. थोड़ा इस बात को समझना. You know, if these two things click today, this is the one latest we said. द अर्लियर थॉट विच वी डिस्कस्ड, दोनों याद है ना, रियली हम स्पिरिचुअल बन रहे. अर्लियर वन इज व्हाट? डीपली थिंक एंड डिसाइड यू वांट टू बी सोत्पादिक जीवा और निरुपाधिक आत्मा. ये चीज में बहुत ध्यान देना है. छोटू, उपाधि छोटा हो या बड़ा हो, इट इज बंधन ओनली. One more dynamite, that through all upasanas, we are only making our upadhis more powerful, with which we will be promoted but not liberated. Only Tattva Jnana, Atma Jnana, which is to be experienced through Shravana Manana Nidhyasana, alone takes us to the Nirupadhika Atma, which alone gives mukti. There is no other way. थोड़ा क्लिक होना है. No, that is the example of Dhruva and all. They asked for Dhruva Loka. When Bhagavan said Tadastu, immediately realized, यार मैंने क्या पूछा? Instead of asking for mukti, I asked for Dhruva Loka. Dhruva Loka looks to be good, but you are staying there as a star, guiding all the rishis and sadhakas to the Uttara Marga and Moksha. You are not going, you are stuck up there. नहीं, यमराज आल्सो सेड सेम थिंग. नचिकेता, अरे यार मैं बना यमा, घर में रह ही नहीं सकता हूँ. देखा तूने 3 दिन से डेपुटेशन में था, बहुत एक्सीडेंट्स हो गए, फ्लड्स हो गए, हैव टू गो एंड पीपल रन फ्रॉम मी ओनली. Unnecessarily I did the yajnam by which I could become the यमराज. I thought सब डरेंगे, सबको कंट्रोल करने वाला है पाशम मेरे हाथ में रहेगा. तो with that half knowledge and fancy, I tried and I got it. यार, you are intelligent than me. At a small age, bypassing all that, directly you are asking for ब्रह्म ज्ञान. देखो. So you and I also talk about doing japa upasana, but all of them are inevitable. Through them you get the antakarana shanti. Our doing japa upasanas are not to get siddhis, not to get the material things from Bhagavan. We do all of them to relinquish our responsibilities free, we clear our runas, and make the antakarana shuddha, so that we do the tattva swaranam, tattva mananam, tattva chintanam, tattva dhyanam, tattva anubhuti, tattva nishtha. There is no doubt about this for us. So, just a bird's eye view of this sloka. He is Jiva who is having identified kind of upadhi and is a guna karma murti, and he runs in samsara here and there, forced by the kala chakra. He has got Paramatma as the antaratma inside. Same is at the total level. Both of them are running. You know, the subordinate also has to run to office at 9 a.m. Boss also has to come. Like you are bound to come to class to listen. I am bound to come to class to speak. Both are bound in the same way. Okay? Now, this Jiva Bhava, and the cause of Jiva Bhava is an Abhimana with the Upadhi. So too, that Jiva Upadhi Abhiman के साथ गुणों के साथ अभिमान, और गुणों के कारण उपाधियों के यूज करते हुए कर्म करना. Guna prompts various thoughts in my antakarana. Then I do the karma according to guna with these upadhis. Then I am forced to have the karma phala. All these can be cut asunder. How to do is the next sloka. Amulametar, Jnanam Viveko. These are the very profound slokas. Tomorrow we will see. एक दिन में एक या दो श्लोक ही हमको हो रहे हैं. Because the topic is such beautiful one. I want to study deeply. बात की बात बाद में देखा जाए. अब जो भगवान दे रहे हैं उसको अच्छी तरह से ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय.